The markets are making their way higher today, and so is AMC stock, currently up about 4% at the time of recording this video. Now we are back above $15 per share. So it doesn't look like we're getting a lot of that resistance around $15 per share here today. Yet over the past couple of days, that is what we have seen. We have held up above the 50-day moving average, and it looks like we are primed to break out above the 100-day moving average. Now we have some earnings and after hours. We have some things happening tomorrow that is really going to move the markets in a big way. Either continue on this rally or potentially pour some cold water on this very hot market. So we're going to dive into everything you guys need to know. The Ortex data, what's happening with AMC stock today, what's going on with the data, what's going on with the market. So let's get straight to it. If you guys find value out of the video, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And if you guys want to come trade with me live in real time, link down below in the description. So first and foremost, I want to start with what's happening in the markets, and this is something I find very interesting. If you have not been following this drama, well, essentially here it is. Pelosi to visit Taiwan, local media say, despite China warnings. Key points: several Taiwan media outlets reported that the U.S. House of Representatives Speaker Nancy Pelosi will visit Taiwan on Tuesday, citing unidentified sources. China has warned that its military would never sit idly by if Pelosi were to visit Taiwan, the self-ruled island claimed by Beijing. Taiwan's foreign ministry said it has no comment on reports on Pelosi's travel plan and no further information to share with the media. So obviously the government, they don't like to confirm these things, but Pelosi is in what did it say, Singapore right now. That's where she's at here on Monday, and then it's expected that she's gonna go to Taiwan tomorrow. And China has made all kinds of threats. Some Chinese media outlets have said that they are going to shoot down Nancy Pelosi's plane, and a lot of people are talking about it. So I don't necessarily think that's the case, because that's World War III. You're looking at a 10% drop in the stock market tomorrow alone. Don't think that is going to happen. I don't think China, wants to go out that way. But I do think it could move the markets depending on what happens. Maybe China retaliates with their policies on businesses, right? Maybe they start to bully Apple or other companies. Something along those lines is kind of what I expect more. Some form of military aggression as well is definitely not off of the table, and this could move around the stock market. This has been moving around the stock market today, especially when this article did come out at 10:41 a.m. Just about an hour ago. You did see a pretty substantial sell-off in the S&P 500, and then obviously the markets are doing what they're doing and going back up. Wall Street is the most non-violent, ruthless place in the whole entire world. So that's something you guys want to pay attention to. It's coming bright and early tomorrow, so it can move the markets. Now, as far as the economic calendar, the big things for today was ISM manufacturing PMI. All of this came in good. Construction spending, that actually missed expectations by about 0.1%, and all this came out about 2 hours ago. So it wasn't a huge deal. It did beat expectations a little bit as far as ISM manufacturing, but it's not really a reason why the stock market is up today. The stock market really just didn't even care about that ISM manufacturing PMI. Now for tomorrow, this is going to be more eventful, and I think one of the most important things for this week. You have the JOLTS job openings for June, expecting 11.25 million job openings still, and just depending on how that is, if we get more job openings, that's going to be bad for the markets, because Fed, Powell and the committee will be able to raise rates more aggressively. Believe it or not, you might want to see job openings actually going down, so then the Fed, has more pressure on them to not raise rates that aggressively. Now, Fed Evans speaks tomorrow at 10 a.m. And why this is so key is because the markets right now, they're expecting inflation to come down. They're expecting the Fed to be a little bit easier on these rate hikes. Let's call it a 25 or 50 basis point rate hike instead of a 75 or possible 1% rate hike. So depending on what these Fed speakers say, keep in mind, the last rate hike, 75 basis points, nobody descended at the Fed. So everyone was in unanimous agreement they should do a 75 basis point rate hike. So if you start to see Fed Evans coming out tomorrow, if you start to get the other Fed speakers throughout the rest of this week reiterating they should probably do a 75 basis point rate hike or even a 1% rate hike, well, that's going to give us more clarity, and that is not currently expected by the markets, and that would mean more downside for equity prices from here. I think, this kind of worked to the Fed's disadvantage by saying that they're going to slow down raising rates. Everyone knew they were going to. They're front-loading rate hikes. That just means giving us bigger rate hikes in the beginning. Everyone kind of knew that, but as soon as the Fed said that, everyone just was off to the races. And this is providing looser monetary policy. This is working against what the Fed wants to do to bring inflation down. The Fed ultimately wants higher interest rates, right? Well, they're not getting that, at least in the bond market. Mortgage rates fell 50 basis points. Mortgage rates fell 0.5% the day after the last Fed meeting. So it's working against what the Fed wants to do, and we'll see if Fed Evans or other Fed speakers start to try to restrict policy. It's called jawboning, just talking the markets into more restrictive policy coming tomorrow. That's something that could give us some downside, or it could reassure the 50 or 25 basis point rate hike, and that could be a bullish thing as well. Now, right now, markets, 10% of participants are expecting a 75 basis point rate hike. 90% of market participants are expecting a 50 basis point rate hike. So there you have it. That just goes to show exactly what I was saying. Now, as far as earnings today and after hours, you have Devon Energy, Pinterest, Diamondback Energy, Activision, Blizzard, Mosaic, Avis Budget Group, Transocean, CF Industries, Simon, and Arista. We have more than this, obviously, but these are the biggest ones. I personally do have a trade on Pinterest. Pinterest will have some sympathies with Snapchat and other online kind of social media kind of apps, right? Pinterest, not my style of online platform, but still some people do like it, so that's one to definitely be watching, and that could move around different stocks in the stock market. The yield curve inversion is also steepening today, now inverted 31 basis points, so that means markets are still selling off the 2-year bonds. They don't want to own the 2-year bonds for 3%. That means inflation will be higher than 3%, or at least the markets expect inflation to be higher than 3%, or the Fed to make a policy error, whereas the 10-year bonds, well, investors are buying those bonds, driving down those yields. So there you guys have that. As far as AMC specifically, like I said, we broke out above $15 per share. That is a very bullish thing. We're sitting at $15.18 per share, currently up about 4.5%. So this is very good to be seeing. We're actually rallying alongside with the markets, and this is something that we have not really seen over the last couple of days. The last couple of days have been pretty bullish in the stock market, but AMC has really not gotten any of that rally. And I think a big reason for that is anticipation for AMC earnings coming Thursday in after hours. If you wanted to make a trade on AMC earnings, now's probably the best time to do so. You might get that appreciation just from the IV run-up heading into earnings. You can flip out, make contracts free, do what you guys got to do in that regard. And I think people are positioning for AMC earnings. And now we're in an interesting spot on a technical basis, because $15 per share, that was just our previous level of resistance for 1, 2, 3, 4 days, even hitting a low of $13.82 per share. Now we're back up above 15, and the 100-day moving average is sitting right here at $15.41 per share. So we're in this really tight range where we might find a lot of resistance at the 100-day moving average again. It's really, really hard to tell. We found resistance there 1, 2, 3, 4 days last time, and then broke out above it. But the range is still so narrow, even more narrow now. You guys can see right here, once we broke out above 15, we held 15 for those 4 days. Intraday, you fell under that, but you always closed above 15. Then you broke out above that moving average. Then you broke out above the 100-day moving average. So that's what I want to watch this time. Do we hold 15? Do we close above 15? or even close above the 100-day moving average. This is, I hope you guys can see from the chart how important this $15 level is in relation to the 100-day moving average. That is key. If we can break out above the 100-day moving average, even possibly by the end of the day, that's very good. If we don't, fine. We still want to hold above $15 per share, and that is the key thing that I will be watching. Now, other things to note is that AMC has pretty much always rallied after earnings. About 83% of the time over the past year and a half, AMC stock has actually returned on average, 40-50%. 2 to 4 weeks after earnings, but we do tend to sell off after earnings. So depending on what Adam Aron says, if he has something really good to say, we might not sell off, right? We've been on this upward trajectory for quite a while now, and I think it's pretty well known that AMC is going to have a decent year for 2022 and probably even a better year for 2023. So this earnings season is a little bit different, and we know that Adam Aron and AMC wants to pounce on the short sellers by issuing some kind of dividend, or maybe with just some really good news. Who knows? That is yet to be known at this moment, but it does look more bullish than not, and I would not be betting against AMC at the current moment. The RSI is at 53.63, so sitting around that neutral level of 50, but still you're not really choosing a direction here with the RSI. And the MACD is bearish. We were bullish for quite a while, and then we did just go bearish after this last sell-off that we did see, but it was honestly a healthy little sell-off. We got the RSI back down. Now we can start to make our way back up, which is good, and we still didn't hit lower lows from even the start of this rally that we seen, and that was really when Adam Aron came out and said that we're going to pounce on the short sellers. The timing is right, August 4th. Mark your calendars, essentially, is what he said. And July 7th was that day where AMC did rally 15%. So we're holding up very well. We're in an interesting spot on a technical basis. You definitely want to watch that heading into the end of the day, but over the next couple of days as well. Now, the option activity, you're looking at about 23,000 calls that are currently in the money, about 67,000 calls that are out of the money. So it's not a huge week as far as options are concerned, but you still could see a pretty substantial rally. As you guys already do know, it doesn't necessarily matter how many contracts are held in open interest on the actual option chain. The biggest thing is, do people start to flood into options? Do people, well, I should say, does the demand go up for options, specifically ones that have near-term expirations and cheap premiums that could run into the money? And we'll know more, obviously, if this is going to happen over the next 2 days before the actual earnings, and especially after that. If coming on Thursday and on Friday you see a lot of bullish option activity, well, that's going to be a very, very good sign for a continued rally after earnings. Now, as far as the Ortex data, about $1.46 billion worth of short positions on AMC stock, 19.49% short interest of free flow out on loan, 27.72%, shares out on loan 143 million, days to cover 3.43, cost to borrow 9.82, and 100% share utilization. Now, the cost to borrow max is sitting at 13.33%, cost to borrow average at 10.21%, and cost to borrow minimum at 8.6%. Cost to borrow max is up about 3.33% here today, so I would say that's a good thing. I do expect the cost to borrow rates to substantially go higher before earnings, just because earnings is such a big catalyst. It only makes sense. If the stock could go up or down 10% for that matter, then you're going to charge more to let people lend out stock, and that could go to hurt the short sellers. Now, as far as the option activity for the day, you have seen one order totaling about $25,000, positive order value of 100%, and this is in October 21st, $17 call, like I said, for $25,000. So a little bit out the money here. They did pay $225 per contract, so that break even would actually be about $19.25 per share. So this hedge fund is betting that AMC will see a pretty substantial move to the upside over the next coming months. So that is pretty much it for this video. Watch the Nancy Pelosi stuff, watch Fed Evans tomorrow, as well as Jolt's job openings. Those things are going to move the markets. Markets look a little bit toppy here today. They're a little bit quicker to fall. You're not just seeing that straight up rally like we have seen over the last couple of days, but AMC stock is definitely playing along today and well outperforming the NASDAQ, S&P, and Dow even combined. So I think it's very bullish. I'm very bullish. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you guys have not already. Get your free stock with Webull, Moomoo, and Public as well down below in the description. You can't go wrong by getting yourself some free money. That's all I'm going to say about that. I think it speaks for itself. And if you guys want to come trade with me live in real time, link down below in the description as well. You guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.